This is the Speedgoat, and I'm a Renegade, and I'm a big Renegade fan, and thanks to everybody for listening, and hopefully you can get something out of the story.
Such a prolific running career. You start to see the evolution of trail running and ultra running, and we'd love to understand your vantage point from when you started to what you see now. I've read that you enjoy a couple brews, you love your Red Bulls, some junk food, all the fun stuff to make.
KFC, I think I saw there in one video.
Yeah.
And you see what the races, what they're doing nowadays with David Roach and the science of running. You are the all-time winningest 100-mile runner. Juxtapose. How do you understand that? How do we come to terms with your experience over the years?
Yeah, I mean, things obviously have changed. I mean, David, like what he did this year, and David is kind of the scientist. He's into that. There's a lot of runners out there that are so into the science that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. David proved, I mean, no doubt. But then you look back to myself, who would drive to the race, sleep in the car, roll out of the truck. According to the New York Times, I ran the entire AT on beer and pizza or something.
That's what it is. I remember that.
Something like that. Not quite the truth, or candy and pizza or whatever it was, candy and beer. But I think back in our day, none of us were making any money. Nobody really made any money doing it, So we showed up on the line and we wanted to race, I'm like Hal Kerner and Scott and I and like Ian, those guys are like my best friends still, I mean, we met, it was like we're instantly good friends, but we just wanted to go out and race, and it was really no bullshit. I mean, gels were just starting to come to the market in early 2000. I mean, the first race, you step back to 96, I had 6 of those. You guys probably aren't even old enough. 6 power bars that were like bricks, and in my little fanny pack I had on there. And those things were, I mean, you couldn't even bite them.
We're not that young, Karl.
All right.
We're not that young.
But the thing is, we're running around with those things, and then when I got to Hard Rock in 2001, when I won that time, I ate only gel across the board. I think they were power bar gels at the time. I think I ate like 50 something of them. And I kind of refined, I had 16 minutes of downtime. I was kind of refining, how can you can do this on these gels. You don't need all this special food and stuff. And that was the beginning. I mean, that's just how we did it. There was no science behind it. There was no research on Google of how to do this. And, I know that Scott and I know that Hal and those guys weren't, nutrition fanatics. I know Scott's vegan. I mean, he grew up on burgers and hot dogs, but he's certainly not eating burgers and hot dogs now. But Scott, I don't think even really got so into the real science behind it. He's just vegan, learned how to be vegan and eat that healthier food. And that's fine. I mean, for me, I'm like, it's all bullshit. Just run, just go do your shit. Just do your thing. Quit being a wuss, quit complaining. Don't whine about stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, you're out running around the woods or the mountains or the deserts or whatever, and you're supposed to enjoy it. So we were really mostly into enjoying it. I think now, as time has gone by, the professionalism is certainly the forefront now. I mean, you're looking at the fastest guys. You got Killian and Jim and Hayden and so many other runners that are really fast. And, everybody's making a salary now, and they're just popular on the Instagram, and like Courtney and now Sarah too. It's really more professionalized. I think, there's some missing parts and pieces, including drug testing. I mean, that is we don't need to get into that, but at the same time, it's that didn't exist back then when we did it. What was that? I was like, huh? We would rather like to race and just have a few beers afterwards. And we hung out in the mountains for a couple of weeks around Silverton, and we camped for Hal and Ian and I camped for 3 weeks up at a place at 11,800 feet up by Red Mountain Pass. We call it Speedgoat Point. And we would every evening we'd go up on this one spot, and I like to play golf too. I'm a golfer. Ian and Hal were not, obviously, the way they hit the ball. But we go up there, we tee it up and hit the ball towards this pond about the size of the green and go retrieve them, and we just have fun. It was mostly about having fun. Not so much about, I need to taper this perfectly way and I need to train this perfect way to do stuff. We just mostly went out and ran hard most of the time. There's all things about, periodization and, hard runs, easy runs, tempo, all these kinds of things. And I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying that we didn't do as much of that as I think runners do now. I mean, we're seeing people get a lot faster. I mean, that 26:39 that I ran in 2001 in Hard Rock was, no one's ever going to touch that in your lifetime. No one's ever going to beat that. I was like, I could have shaved a few minutes off. Now it's 21:31, right? I mean, 5 hours faster. So the guys that are really getting into the science, there's no question that is helping and making it better. The shoes are better. And we talk about the super shoes and all that kind of thing. I think those mostly apply to road as more than trails, but at the same time, the equipment's better, the packs are better, the nutrition's better. So we're going to see times come down, and you're getting faster runners, collegiate runners. Like Jim is a great example because Jim Walmsley, when he first ran Speedgoat one year and he's like, hey, I'm Jim Walmsley. Can you let me in the race? I was like, well, I don't know who you are, man. Like, you get paid $100, So I made Jim pay $100 that first year. And this was when he very, very first started. And he ran Speedgoat, and Speedgoat is a hard race. He blew up. He came in like 20th or something, did all right. But he turned into a different runner, right? Like he came from a track 13:52 5K kind of speed, where my best 5K was 16:20. It was not even remotely close to that. You see some guys like that, Hayden Hawks, again, under 14 5K. These guys that have more speed are going to keep redefining. 14:09 in Western, Scott's 15:35 when he broke the record isn't even on the top 25 list anymore. So it's like you're looking at guys that are pushing the limits more off the starting line too. We raced a little different in Hard Rock back in those days. We hiked all the uphills, we didn't really force anything. Guys are just getting after it now. And it's evident that they're learning how to deal with the nutrition and learn how to train better, how to taper better. All those things come together. And now we have UTMB, which, when I ran in 2007, it had been in existence for maybe 6-7 years or something. And it was still a big race. But now it's there's no question that's the big dance. Western used to be the track meet. Hard Rock was the Super Bowl, but the UTMB is the World Globe Bowl, if you want to call it. I don't know. But it's redefining what people can do. And the only way you find out if you can go faster is if you go out harder. It's just, at the end of the day, I'm still out here doing it. I still enjoy it. And that's what matters to me most, is that I can still go to a race and maybe two people might say, hey, can I get a picture with a selfie or whatever? And that's like an honor. I mean, I of course I'll always do that. I'll always help people if I can and give them advice or mentor them or whatever. I think that's part of the legacy of, I've been around for so long that, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. I can probably help you become a better runner, not even by a particular training method or something, but more like just how do you race 100, how do you get the most out of your body with what you have? Because some people will never run a 20-hour 100. You just won't. You can't, not everybody in the world can run a 14-minute 5K, just no matter how your training is. It's like genetics are a massive thing. I've always had really good genetics. That's the bottom line, is that the best runners, the best athletes in any sport, genetics are 90%, man. Don't kid yourself. Some people can come off the couch and kill it. And some people come off the couch, work as hard as they can for years and years and just can't. They just don't feel like they get their potential. But that's just, you're born with what you got. You just don't, try not to treat it too harsh. Not too many beers. I probably passed that. I've surpassed that level at this point. But, it's been good. For all those people out there, I'm like, if you want to run, it doesn't matter how fast you are. The fact that you're out there is what matters.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Podcast. And we'd love to hear from you. Send us a note. RunegadePodcast@gmail.com. That's RUNEGADE podcast@gmail.com. You can check out our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Remember, in a world of runners, be a renegade.